The first-class cabin glowed softly as the evening flight prepared for takeoff. Most passengers had already settled in, their drinks in hand, scrolling through phones or watching the last few stragglers board. The overhead bins clicked shut one after another, while murmurs of polite conversation hummed under the ambient lighting. Among the final passengers entering the cabin walked a black couple, Malcolm and Celeste Browning. Celeste walked with a gentle limp, favoring her right hip as she held her coat close. Malcolm, slightly ahead, guided her with quiet assurance toward seats 1A and 1B. Though modestly dressed, there was a certain elegance to Celeste's presence, a calm dignity that wasn't measured in designer labels. Malcolm offered polite nods to fellow passengers, though some merely stared. Celeste took in the luxurious interior, the wide leather seats, the linen-draped trays, menus tucked neatly beside crystal glasses. It was her first time flying first class, and she felt the unfamiliar weight of being visible. As Malcolm reached to place her small carry-on in the overhead bin, a voice broke the quiet. "Excuse me," came the crisp tone of a flight attendant named Chloe. She was in her early 30s, with sharp features and a red lipstick that clashed with the growing tension in her eyes. "First class is reserved for premium guests only." Malcolm turned calmly, meeting her gaze without aggression. "Yes," he said simply. "We're aware." Chloe took a step closer, surveying their clothing. Celeste's cardigan, her weathered leather purse, Malcolm's plain sweater. "Without asking for tickets," she said, "I'll need to verify your seats. Could you both step into the aisle?" Celeste blinked, startled. "Is there a problem?" "It's just a quick check, ma'am," Chloe replied, smiling without warmth. Malcolm handed over their boarding passes. Chloe examined them with a frown, her silence stretching uncomfortably long. She gave a small, disbelieving laugh and added, "I'll have to confirm these with the gate. Please remain here." The surrounding passengers turned subtly in their seats. Conversations halted. A few exchanged glances, others stared openly. "I told you we should have just flown coach," Celeste whispered. "You've earned better," Malcolm said gently. "Don't let her shrink you." Near the galley, Chloe whispered to her colleague Tessa, a seasoned attendant in her late 40s. "They're in 1A and 1B, she said. "No way they actually paid for those seats." Tessa gave her a long look. "You sure you want to go there?" "It's not an assumption," Chloe replied. "It's experience." Back at their seats, Celeste shifted uncomfortably under the weight of watching eyes. "I don't want trouble," she whispered. "There is no trouble," Malcolm said. "She just hasn't recognized you yet." Celeste furrowed her brow. "Recognize me?" He nodded. "Let's just enjoy the flight, Mrs. Browning." Chloe returned with a forced smile and the tickets gripped too tightly in her hand. "Your tickets are confirmed," she said. "But I'll need to check with the lead crew. There's a small seating irregularity." "Our seats are clearly printed," Malcolm said, calm but firm. Chloe turned away quickly, heading to the front where Doug, the lead attendant, reviewed the meal assignments. "There's a situation in 1A and 1B, Chloe muttered. Doug raised an eyebrow. "You confirmed the tickets?" "They look real, but something's off. They don't look like first-class passengers." Doug snapped his clipboard shut. "If their tickets are valid, it's not your place to judge. Get their names. I'll double-check the system." Returning, Chloe asked again for their names. Malcolm answered, "Malcolm Browning." Celeste added softly, "Celeste Browning." At the sound of her name, Chloe froze. Her pen stalled midair. Without a word, she rushed back to Doug. Doug was already typing into the manifest system. When he reached the reservation note tied to seat 1A, he stopped. Scrolling down, he read aloud, "Primary investor. Executive-level clearance. Full discretion authorization." He turned to Chloe. "Malcolm Browning sits on our board." Chloe's face went pale. "Our board?" she asked. Doug nodded. "He's not just a passenger. He's your employer's employer." Back in their seats, Celeste looked out the window. "Are you going to tell me what's happening?" "You've worked twice as hard for half the credit," Malcolm said. "You belong here." Doug approached them with respectful poise. "Mr. and Mrs. Browning, I want to personally welcome you. If there's anything you need." Celeste blinked. "You seem surprised." Doug smiled faintly. "Not surprised. Reminded." Chloe hovered nearby, visibly shaken. "Mr. Browning, I'd like to apologize. I didn't realize." "You didn't need to," Malcolm said. You only needed to treat my wife with dignity. You failed twice. Passengers nearby whispered. Some avoided eye contact. Others glanced openly, now curious. Celeste leaned closer. Why didn't you tell me you were on the board? It didn't matter for a vacation, Malcolm said. But it does now. Meanwhile, Doug spoke quietly into the cockpit phone. A few moments later, the captain's voice came over the speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated. We're experiencing a minor delay due to a message from corporate. The passengers murmured. Celeste turned to Malcolm. What did you do? When a board member is disrespected, there's a chain of action. Chloe was pulled aside and told by Doug. Corporate wants your statement. Now, they're watching. Celeste sat straighter. She wasn't just humiliated. She had become the trigger for a wider conversation. Doug returned. Mrs. Browning, would you like to speak with corporate upon landing? Yes, she said. And I want it in writing. From behind, Chloe whispered, I didn't mean harm. Celeste turned. That's the problem. You didn't think I mattered enough for your care to apply. Later in the flight, the captain informed them a liaison would meet them upon landing. Doug added, the CEO's office has issued an apology. And Mrs. Browning, you've been invited to chair our new advisory board on equity and dignity. Celeste was stunned. Me? Malcolm smiled. They finally figured out who you are. After the flight, in a quiet conference room, the CEO joined via video call. Celeste remained firm. I'll accept the role, but I want real power. Quarterly training, third-party oversight, and transparency. Approved, the CEO said. You're not doing me a favor, she said. I'm showing you the cost of forgetting what respect looks like. By the next morning, news outlets picked up the story. Passenger dignified under pressure sparks airline reform. Messages poured in. One stood out, from a gas station worker named Darlene. You don't know me, but thank you. I've never flown, but you made me feel seen. Celeste replied, keep standing. I'll keep building. And from that day forward, no matter where she sat, Celeste Browning didn't ask for space. She made the world make room.